Welcome to the Sports Booth with your hosts, Cade Bergstead and Ethan Daubeck.
Today we'll be giving you the breaking news and talking about our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, flexes, tight ends, kickers, and defense/special teams. With that being said, let's take it to the booth. Alrighty, breaking news. Jamal Adams, he got signed to a 4-year, $70 million contract. What are your thoughts on this?
As a Seahawks fan, I love to see him being re-signed. Might have been a bit much, but, I think it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I still think he's extremely young. I mean, he led the entire league in sacks by a defensive back last year. I think I might be thinking about this incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure he broke the record for sacks by a defensive back last year.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's just an extremely impressive feat, and he's young. He's talented. Last season, he was playing injured for a lot of the season. So long as he can stay healthy, I think this is a great investment in an incredible player who can be extremely versatile and maybe not necessarily play the traditional strong safety role, but overall have an extremely large impact on the way the defense is able to play, and maybe play in a way that is untraditional to many offenses, which throws them off. Because that's what they did when they were an extremely good defense. Their defensive scheme, yes, they had extremely good players, but they also had a scheme, that zone man defense, that not a lot of teams had seen before or seen recently. It was popular back in the day a little bit, but they went to that and it was different. And then more different defenses went to that same type of scheme, and offenses were able to figure it out.
I agree. I also think, he's a great player and he's just a great locker room player as well. I think that's a great veteran to have in the locker room.
Absolutely. And I think I follow him on Instagram. I think he just has a lot of energy and has a lot of love for Seattle and playing for the Seahawks. So I think that's a really good deal for them and for him.
Yeah. Moving on to Jacksonville, we had some news coming out that Tim Tebow has been cut. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, so sad. But, I can't say it wasn't entirely expected.
Yeah. You think this is the end of the Tebow saga, or do you think he'll pick up some other sport and go back to baseball?
Maybe he'll go play like basketball or something. I don't know. So today, on Wednesday, August 18th, Claypool had to be helped off the field by Big Ben and Eric Ebron, although doctors say it just looks like a minor ankle sprain. Is this something to be worried about?
If I was drafting for fantasy, I'd still take him if he's available later down the list, but it's definitely something to watch out for.
Assuming a 12-man draft, how early is too early?
Oh, I would definitely put him in that flex category at this point. I think there's a lot better options out there.
You're talking like 4th, 3rd round?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Or, 4th, 5th round?
Yeah, all depending on how your draft pool picks.
Team stacking up. Well, I wouldn't want him necessarily as a wide receiver too. I would definitely want him as a flex. And I would, with how thin running backs are this year, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, with how thin running backs are, I probably wouldn't even touch Chase Claypool before the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's definitely fallen off my radar for sure.
Yeah. Just a little bit more of injury news is that Matt Nagy stated that the Chicago Bears offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins will have to have back surgery. The team hopes that he will be able to return later this season. That is extremely hopeful. He is an extremely important player, and especially protecting Justin Fields potentially this year, I think having him would serve better than keeping him off on the sidelines. McCarthy came out and said that Dak won't play this preseason. Do you think that is smart?
I personally do think that's a smart decision. Coming off his ankle injury from last year, and then early this camp, I think he had some shoulder issues.
Yep. He did have some shoulder problems early in training camp this year.
Yeah, I think it's just best to keep him sidelined and make sure he's healthy going into this season.
Absolutely. Why play him in games that don't matter?
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like it's a new offense. It's not like he's playing with a whole lot of new players. I mean, he's played with Zeke. He's played with Cooper. He's played with Gallup. He's played with CeeDee Lamb. Like, he knows all the players that he's playing with. There's no need to put him out in a situation that doesn't matter and risking him potentially getting injured.
Totally agree.
There's just not. Today, General Manager Brett Veach said while the Kansas City Chiefs would like to expand Matthews' contract beyond the end of the season, the timing isn't right for it to happen soon. They only have $30 million in space this year and $15 next year. Do you think Tyrann Mathieu will be with the Kansas City Chiefs come next year?
I'm not too sure about this one. I think that'd be a crucial loss for the Chiefs, but with their cap space, I just don't know if they're going to be able to work out a contract with him to make that work out.
Yeah, especially after this Jamal Adams record-breaking contract, highest paid safety in NFL history. I think Tyrann Mathieu is going to be looking for a big contract as well, and with how much the Chiefs are playing certain players, I just don't see the money for them to be able to keep that. So I think they're going to be looking for a safety in the first or second round this year in the draft.
Yep.
Alrighty. Burrow said that he's finally starting to feel comfortable in the pocket, and he also said that it is the last step in his recovery. Do you believe this? Do you believe him? Do you think he will finally return to a Joe Burrow that is playable, not just in fantasy, but just as the Bengals quarterback? Do you think he will be healthy enough come season time? I mean, he had a lot of injuries. He had MCL, ACL, all sorts of damage on his knee. Do you think he will be able to be a sustainable quarterback in the league this year?
The knee is always a tough one. Though I think Joe Burrow is an incredible athlete, and I think he can work up to that, but I don't think he's going to come out at the start of the season at that top-notch Joe Burrow that we saw a part of last year.
I agree. I hope he plays it safe. I hope the Bengals don't mind having a few close games, even potentially losing some the first few weeks, just in hope to keep Joe Burrow healthy, but still out there.
Yeah.
And then maybe after a few weeks, once he's really healed up and really starting to come along nicely, then you start really letting him back up to that 35, 40 attempts per game mark. I think that would be their best course of action.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of weapons there, so I think we'll utilize those. All right, moving on. The NFL is starting to crack down on taunting this season. I don't know if you saw it, but I believe it was the Colts preseason game. I'm going to have to look up that guy's name. But he had a beast of a run, almost like a Marshawn Lynch type run. Got up, kind of spun the ball slightly, and was flagged 15 yards.
Wow, I did not see that.
In fact,
that's so unfortunate. I wish people were allowed to celebrate. It's so lame that they can't.
And I think that's a great way to make the game a little bit more exciting. Let the players do their little creative dancing. In fact, the No Fun League got trending on Twitter after that little incident.
For real, dude. I remember the first time that started trending, Cam Chancellor, it was a field goal attempt. I forget who was kicking it, but Cam Chancellor jumped completely over the center. The rule says that you cannot touch the long snapper, but he completely jumped over him and block the kick, and then the no fun league outlawed jumping over the line of scrimmage during a PAT or field goal block.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. I think if you can clear the offense or the special teams line, I think you should be able to do so.
Absolutely. Alrighty, a couple more things here and some news for you guys today. Washington football team wants to use Gibson as a Christian McCaffrey-style running back. What are your thoughts about this? And do you think that Antonio Gibson is potentially able to make that leap to where Christian McCaffrey is? I mean, after all, Christian McCaffrey was drafted by Ron Rivera and put into a system by Ron Rivera where he excelled at, which is now the coach of the Washington football team. Do you think that this is a possible move with Antonio Gibson?
I think this is a very possible move. I mean, he had a great season last season, mainly running the ball, but he still obtains that pass catching ability. Not quite as effective as McCaffrey yet, but like you said, with Coach Rivera, calling the plays, I think he will find a way to utilize Gibson just like McCaffrey. And let's not forget about J.D. McKissick. I mean, he was a great pass catcher last year for the football team.
Yeah, I was just about to bring him up. He had, I mean, his rushing stats weren't all that impressive, but I'm pulling them up here right now. I mean, he had 80 receptions for 589 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, those are impressive receiving numbers from a running back, especially only on 201 targets. That means he caught 75% of targets that were in his direction, and that he brought a total of almost 600 yards to that offense. Like, that's not something to be overlooked, not to mention also the fact that you have Curtis Samuel back there now, who is an extremely versatile player who can run the ball. He can go out on quick screens. He can run routes well. He can catch the ball well. He's quick. He's fast. All that stuff. I think Gibson is an extremely talented athlete, but I don't think he is in as good of a system or surrounded by the players needed to become that Christian McCaffrey level.
Alrighty, moving on to some NFL fantasy rankings. Ethan, you want to start us off with some of your quarterbacks?
Alrighty, here. I'm just going to give you my top 4. We'll see how we differ in our top 4. We're just going to go a full standard PPR league. We think it's the most fun. We think it makes the most amount of players involved and valuable, which allows you to learn the game and learn the players better who have dedicated their whole life to playing the sport. So we really like the PPR format, so that's how we're going to do it. My number 1 is Patty, followed by Kyler, Lamar, and Allen. Allen, yeah. Who you got?
Mine is pretty much the same, just in a slightly different order. I have Patty at the number 1, then I have Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and then Lamar.
Yeah, I just think Josh Allen's going to regress a little bit. I think he's still going to be extremely good, extremely valuable. And let's be real, I think within like those top 4, I think there are I think you're talking maybe 5-10 points between one or the other. I think they're all going to be extremely close. Other than Patty, I think Patty's going to be standalone number 1 again. I mean,
I agree with that.
He's just good. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I think those 2 through 4 could be in any order at the end of the season.
For real. I mean, those, like, if you choose one of those 3 or any of those 4, like, you're not going wrong. How early in just a single quarterback PPR league, how early is too early for Patrick Mahomes?
No, that's a tough question. I've seen him in the few drafts I've done. I've seen him go first round. I mean, we did auction drafts, so that was a little different. But
yeah,
snake draft wise, I think, I don't know, almost first round is slightly too early, but second round is probably the most consistent I've seen him go. And that might even be a little too early, but if that's when the quarterbacks start to go, that's when they go.
Would you ever take him in the second round?
I think I probably would. All depending on which pick I had. If I had,
if he was available, assuming a 12-man league, say you had the 5th overall, so you'd have the 7th going back. He's still available for you at 2-7. Would you get him? Would you take him?
At that point, I'd almost try and wait one more or till my next pick, till third round. But if I don't like my options that are left at that point, I would probably snag him.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to name off a couple players, see if you would take them before him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I probably would take Patty in that situation.
You would take Patty over Clyde?
I would.
Najee Harris.
If I had the 5th pick, I'd probably take a running back with my first pick. So, I would highly consider taking Patty.
What if, let's say, Justin Jefferson is still available?
See, that's where it gets a little tricky. I don't think you could go wrong with either one. I think they're both going to produce great fantasy numbers week by week. But I'd still almost take Patty in that.
I wouldn't take Patty. I still wouldn't take Patty. I wouldn't take Patty unless I had the 2-3 turn and he dropped me all the way there. I just don't. I mean, yeah, he's gonna score you more by 3 or 4 every week on a per average basis, but those other quarterbacks are more than capable to dethrone him. Just because he has been the overall number one for the past 3 seasons or something like that, doesn't mean that he will always do that. I mean, Kyler Murray is an extremely valuable fantasy quarterback. Lamar Jackson, if he has another season like he did during his MVP season, he could have extremely high fantasy potential. There's just so many good quarterbacks that have the ability to dethrone him. I would not risk taking him over an extremely valuable, say, Justin Jefferson or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who could really help round out my team in the end.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Probably a little bit of my Patty bias there is kicking in, but
you do like Patty a bit.
I do. That's my boy.
I have a sick Patty card if you want it.
Might take you up on that offer.
I'll sell it to you for 2 cents.
Done.
Sold. All right, moving on. What are your after your top 4? What are your next 3 quarterbacks?
Next 3, I got Russell Wilson, Danger Russ, followed by Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and Dak Prescott.
All right.
How about you?
Okay, so I agree with Russ. I agree that Russ is that 5th. I think he's interchangeable at 5-6 in my opinion, but my 6 is different than you. I've got Dak there. I think, barring injury, I think Dak has a lot of weapons around him, a lot of talented weapons around him. And, I mean, shit, look at his pace. Last year, he was on pace for almost 7,000 yards before he got injured. He is an extremely good quarterback as long as he stays healthy. And I think if he can stay healthy, and if they do keep him out the preseason and just make sure he's completely healthy before he steps on the field, I think that he has the potential, not for a 7,000 yard season, that is highly unlikely, but maybe a 5,500 yard season, 40 touchdown season. And in that case, he would be probably top 2 by the end of the season. I think if you can get him at the 6th quarterback off the board overall, I think you're getting a steal because you're probably waiting until the 6th round for him. And I think if you can get Dak Prescott in the 6th round, that is an incredible value.
Yeah, you make a good point there. I think I pushed Dak a little back just because he's coming off the injury, and I'm not too confident right off the back of how that's going to look, but I think he has a lot of potential, like you said.
But I think there's just so much quarterback talent that even if like he did have to sit out a week or two, I think you could be totally fine streaming like a Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence potentially, or maybe a Jameis Winston or who's their other Taysom Hill, if they, depending on who they start, until Dak is healthy, and then you can just drop whoever you had before and then move on and pick somebody else up off the waiver wires, you know?
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. I'm just taking a look at yours. So you had Russ, Rodgers, Herbert. So I dropped Herbert all the way down to 9 in my rankings.
Okay.
I feel a little bit of a sophomore slump coming up. People say it. People think it's superstitious and that it's bogus and all that jazz. I think it's going to come with him. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be bad by any means, but I do not think you will see the things that he did last year.
Yeah, I think this year having Austin Eckler back in the backfield is really going to help him out, with Eckler being a pass-catching running back. So I see a lot of potential there. And with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams out in the wideout, I think those are solid two options.
I agree, but also with back to your point about Austin Eckler is back. So they will be running the ball a little bit more. Their defense has only gotten better, so they will be hopefully not trailing until the last quarter as often as they have been. And hopefully they'll be able to run the clock a little bit more and, eat away at time, which one makes Austin Eckler's value go up. And two, I think it's going to cause a little bit of a regression for Justin Herbert. Not to say that he's not capable of it, but I personally don't think it's going to happen, and I would hold off on him. I wouldn't draft him before mid to end of 7th round.
Alrighty, and who do you have in your final 2 spots in your top 10?
My final 2 spots, I've got. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mention it. After Dak, I've got Tannehill.
Oh, okay.
Who I don't believe you had.
I do not in my top 10.
I think Tannehill is an extremely good value, and you are probably going to be able to get him come 9th, 10th round, meaning you can spend those 6th, 7th, 8th round picks on receivers, tight ends, whatever it may be. And Tannehill, let me explain something to you. He's got 2 potential top 12 receivers by the end of the year. Julio Jones, we know what Julio Jones can do. He is an incredible receiver with an incredible talent. He's got A.J. Brown, who showed last year that he is an extremely dangerous force to be reckoned with on the offense. And then obviously they have Derrick Henry, who the defense always has to account to, which is going to leave one of those open most of the time. And I think that Tannehill will, especially since he can run. I mean, he likes to run the ball into the end zone here and there. I think he is going to finish a top 7 quarterback by the end of the season. And I think you're getting a top 7 quarterback in the 9th round. Sign me up, like, all day.
Yeah, well, I don't have him in the top 10. I could definitely see him being a great sleeper pick for quarterbacks. Like you said, A.J. Brown, Julio at the wideout, and Derrick Henry in the backfield. And Tannehill he's kind of mobile. I've seen him. That boy can run.
Yeah, absolutely. And and then after Tannehill, I had Aaron Rodgers. I think he is obviously an extremely talented and amazing quarterback and the god there in Green Bay. But in all reality, his touchdowns per attempt was like in the 8% something, and which is extremely way above the league percentage, and it just screams regression. And I think he's still going to have a really good year, but I don't think it's going to be another MVP caliber year. I mean, even the best players in the league don't get MVP every single year. Patty Mahomes doesn't get every single year. Tom Brady didn't get it every single year. While it may have seemed like it, he didn't. They don't, you know.
Yeah.
So I think he is going to regress a little bit, and it's not going to be as impressive as Shadid's Brady. But I think he's still going to be a top 8 quarterback by the end of the year. I think you're going to be able to get him in the 8th or 9th round. If that's the way you want to go over Tannehill, by all means, go for it. Like, I think he is an extremely reliable pick that you cannot go wrong with.
Well said. Now for the final 2 of the top 10.
And then okay. My last 2, I've got Tom Brady. You can't take for granted the GOAT. He put up how many touchdowns did he have last year? Can you find that for me? He had 40 touchdowns last year. 40 touchdowns, 4,600 yards. That is incredible. And the dude is how old? 43 years old, 42 years old.
Yeah,
like, the dude has been playing in the NFL since 2000. He's been playing for 20 years. This is his 21st year. That's insane. He's been playing for over a fifth of the century in the NFL alone. Like, you just can't deny the guy, and you're gonna get him in the probably 8th or 9th round as well, probably just after Rodgers. Like, take him. You're gonna get good results. He gives you good results every single year, whether people like it or not. Like, he is a reliable, consistent quarterback.
Tampa didn't really lose anybody, so
they didn't, they didn't lose anybody. And now Antonio Brown has only been there for a full offseason now, which is only better for him. So, if you have Tom Brady come 8th round and you don't have a quarterback, draft Tom Brady. End of story.
Yeah, I had him in my 10 spot, and then I could pretty much just say what you just said.
Yeah. And then I, like I said earlier, I've got Herbert at my 10 spot.
And then at my 9 spot, I had Jalen Hurts, which you did not have on your list at all.
I do not. I have Hurts at 12.
Okay.
So just outside. I think he has the potential for being really good, but I mean, Devontae Smith is already banged up, and aside from that, they still have they haven't improved their receiving core at all. Devontae Smith is it, and Devontae Smith is not going to single-handedly be able to change the offense. Receivers just don't have that power.
I had him at my 9 spot, I think, well, one being mobile, and last year he put up good numbers too. Let me find that real quick.
In his, 3 starts?
Yeah.
In his 4 games started, he had 6 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, 148 attempts, 77 completions, 52 completion percentage, and 4 interceptions.
Yeah, well, not the greatest stats. I still think he contains a lot of potential. Now looking at his numbers, I'd almost swap him with Tom Brady, but I still think he has great value for a late quarterback pick.
Absolutely. I mean, the same thing. You're getting him 10th, 11th round. If you somehow just forgot about the quarterback position and you get there, take him. He's going to be available, and he's going to be the starter all season long, barring injury. And you can't go into a draft expecting injury, so draft him. I mean, he's going to be good if you don't have a quarterback by that point. He's probably going to be your last safe option. I mean, he's going to – I would put him right after Herbert. But as far as where they're going to go in the draft, I would put him right after Tannehill.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Alrighty, let's move on to running backs. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of disagreement here. I'm just going to give you my top 5 real quick. I've got McCaffrey because, he's McCaffrey and he's a god. Cook because he's an absolute beast. Alvin Kamara because he can do everything and he is literally the entire show in New Orleans right now, pretty much. Derrick Henry because, I mean, I wouldn't get in the way of Derrick Henry. He is an absolute truck, and he's back-to-back rushing title winner, and you don't doubt him. You don't. And then after that, I've got Nick Chubb, who, even though this is PPR and he's not going to get a lot of the receiving, and because of Kareem Hunt, I think just in a run-heavy offense that runs probably 65% of the time, I think he presents an extremely good skill set, and I think he is one of the few outside of the top 3 running backs that could finish by the end of the season as a top 3 running back. I think he is just that good in an offense that likes to run the ball that much.
I agree. I like that pick in the 5 spot. For me, I also had C-Mac in the 1. Not really much to say there. I had Dalvin Cook in the number 2 as well, followed by AK-41, Alvin Kamara. Going to be the show until Michael Thomas comes back. Even then, I still think he's going to put up great numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then my difference starts I forgot Derrick Henry as well in the 4 spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then my one difference.
There.
Yeah, my one difference was the 5. I had Zeke. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to have a great year this year, especially having Dak back. That's going to.
Where do you have Chubb?
I had him right behind Zeke in the 6th spot, so not that far off.
Yeah, see, I had Zeke in the 6th spot, so I mean, flip-flop.
Yeah.
Take a pick. I mean, I think they're going to, by the end of the season, they're probably going to finish within 10 points of each other, barring injury to them or any teammates around them.
Agreed.
I think they're going to finish very similarly. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you have after your 6th spot? Who do you have at 7, 8, 9, and 10? Give me 7, 8, 9, 10.
Topping off my list, I have Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and Antonio Gibson.
Okay. I have Eckler, so I agree with you there. You didn't have Aaron Jones in there.
I did not.
Why not?
I'd probably have him at my 11th spot, though I know he's been consistently at the top of the fantasy boards as a running back this year. I don't know what it is. I think all these guys on my list have just a slight edge. Maybe I'd replace him with Antonio Gibson at the end. But
have you seen how fast he is?
Oh, he's quick. He's quick. No discredit to Aaron Jones, but I just think that most of my guys being pass-catching running backs, well, I guess that's not true. I guess it's pretty split.
Well, I mean, he had 47 receptions last year for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's true, but when I think of Aaron Jones, I don't really think of a pass-catching running back.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, who do you think? Who are you trying to think of? Jonathan Taylor? Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if I spelled that right.
No, not him. It's pass-catching, if that's what you mean.
Okay, but I mean, Jonathan Taylor last year only had 36 receptions, 299 yards, and 1 touchdown. So why do you have Aaron Jones behind Jonathan Taylor?
I think, well, with the quarterback situation in Indianapolis as of right now, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the majority of the Colts offense.
But he's not going to have any of those receiving options. And in a PPR format like this one, I just don't see that potential for being a top 10 running back, especially without Quentin Nelson. Even then, his running game is going to be extremely limited.
I think they're just going to feed Jonathan Taylor all season, and he's going to make up for not catching any passes with his run game.
Don't forget about Nyheim Hines and
Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack was having a pretty good training camp so far. Did he do anything in preseason?
I haven't really seen any highlights. He might have been the guy that got flagged for taunting, but no, I haven't seen much of Marlon Mack or heard any reports on him other than he's back this season. But I believe he was coming off a knee injury, which is always a questionable thing. And Jonathan Taylor easily has that number 1 spot for majority of the carries were.
Oh, I don't disagree that he doesn't have the majority of the carries, but if Marlon Mack is in good shape and cutting as well as he was last year, I mean, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is in risk of losing that job, but do I think that he will lose some touches? Yes, which will make overall his numbers go down because he doesn't have Carson Wentz there to throw him the ball. And even if Carson Wentz was there, Carson Wentz hasn't traditionally thrown to the running back. I mean, how many receptions did Miles Sanders have last year?
Couldn't tell you. Not that many, though.
I got it. I'm pulling it up. He had 28 receptions for 197 yards. So Carson Wentz doesn't traditionally throw the ball that much. Phillip Rivers, who Jonathan Taylor had last year, was the dump-off king. So I just don't see any way for, especially without Carson Wentz there, I don't see any way for Jonathan Taylor to be in the top 10 at the end of the season.
See, I still see him top 10 for sure. Though I do kind of agree with Aaron Jones should be somewhere on my list, but he's not, unfortunately.
Okay, who do you have? So after Jonathan Taylor, you had Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley and then Gibson.
Okay, so after Jones, I went Barkley as well. And then I actually went Joe Mixon. I think he is going to be heavily utilized, especially with Joe Burrow not being able to be as mobile now that he's had all that knee damage. I think if he ever needs to dump it off or something, I think Joe Mixon will be a good, just little quick target who is an extremely talented running back and will potentially be able to break off huge gains. I mean, he showed flashes of extreme brilliance potential, top 5 running back flashes last year, but he had a slightly injury riddled year, which set him back a bit. But I think if you take Joe, I wouldn't take Joe Mixon as my running back 1, but if he gets to you and you already have say like an Aaron Jones or a Zeke or Chubb, and he gets back to you, I think Joe Mixon is a fabulous number 2 with extreme top 10 upside.
Okay, see, Mixon, for me, I would tend to stay away from him unless you get him in absolute steal in super late rounds. I just don't see that much upside with him, especially coming off his injury. But yeah, I think there's plenty of better options that I would take before Mixon.
Okay, well, I mean, he wasn't injured at the end of the season. He's fully healthy and good to go now. If you're that concerned about injuries, shouldn't you be concerned about Christian McCaffrey?
No, McCaffrey didn't have. I think it was just muscle strains, so I think McCaffrey is going to be perfectly
McCaffrey's
fine.
injuries kept him out way longer out of the season than Mixon's kept him out.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
So I'm pretty sure Mixon didn't play after he got hurt.
Let's see. Joe Mixon played.
He played 6 games in 2020.
And McCaffrey only played 3. That's not what I'm saying. I don't think either one of them you should be concerned or go into the draft worried about injuries. I think that you should draft them. If you get the first overall pick, take McCaffrey. I think you would be stupid not to. Like I said, you can't think about injuries. The fact of the matter is, in a PPR format, he is going to probably get close to, if he doesn't break 1,000 yards receiving and rushing. He's going to have over 100 receptions easily. You just can't go wrong with him at the number 1 overall pick. And I think if you get Mixon in the middle of the second round and he's your running back too, by all means, you should go for him. I think he is an extremely talented running back in a offense that is going to lean on him heavily. And he doesn't have Giovanni Bernard backing him up this year.
Just to name a few people that I personally would consider taking over Joe Mixon in that spot would be Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, Edwards-Helaire.
I have Najee Harris at 11.
Okay.
So, and honestly, if it came to me, if I say I had like the 1-2 turn, like that last pick, I would highly consider, assume Travis Kelce's off the board, I would highly consider going Najee and Mixon, assuming that all the others higher on my rankings aren't gone yet.
All right, I guess only time will tell with Joe Mixon. He'll be a key player to watch this season for the two of us.
And Jonathan Taylor.
And Jonathan Taylor. I'm still convinced on that one.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to the wideouts?
Let's do it.
All right, who do you got in your top 5?
Top 5, I've got Davante Adams, especially. He was kind of up in the air for me for a second when we weren't sure what Aaron Rodgers was going to do. But as soon as Aaron Rodgers came back, I was like, okay, Davante Adams, he's incredible. He can get open in space. He's fast. He's an incredible route running. He's got incredible hands. There's just nothing you can say about him. If you want to go with my number 2 first before Adams, I don't think you can go wrong there either. I've got Tyreek Hill. I think he has obviously shown how incredible he can be. They would be in my like tier 1. I wouldn't take any receiver before those 2. And then after that, I'm starting my tier 2. I've got Calvin Ridley, Diggs, and Hopkins. I think Ridley could very well be wide receiver 1 by the end of this year. Like overall, I think he is an extremely gifted and talented receiver in an offense that throws the ball an absurd amount, and he doesn't have Julio Jones there competing for targets anymore. I think he's going to take over this wide receiver 1 spot, and I think he could finish as a fantasy overall number 1 receiver by the end of this year.
Alrighty, well, my first 2 were pretty much identical. And like you said, I would take those Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams before any other receiver. Pretty easy there. Followed by, I have Diggs in the 3rd spot.
Question.
Yep.
At what point, say in the draft, at what point do you like Davante Adams more than the next available running back? Who is that running back?
Running back? Oh.
Like for me, after it gets past Zeke, who is my RB6, I would take Davante Adams.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think the first 6, I think we had pretty close to the same. Just Zeke and Chubb flip-flop.
Yeah, I think having one of those game-changing receivers is just better than having a middle top-tier running back.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
If you do that, though, you just need to make sure you hit running back in your next 2 rounds.
Exactly. I think running back gets pretty thin pretty quick.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of rookies that have potential this year, but we don't know what's going to happen yet. So maybe take those guys at the end of your round. I'm talking about like Javonte Williams, maybe Travis Etienne, and we'll talk about him here in a bit. Who else is a young Trey Sermon? I think all of those guys have extremely good upside potential.
I agree. I lost my spot.
All right, so who do you have after Adams and Hill?
So after Adams and Hill, I had Diggs in the 3 spot, D Hop in the 4 spot, DK Metcalf at 5, and then you had Ridley at 3, and I had him at 6.
Wow, you dropped Ridley all the way down to 6. Why?
I think just the sole fact that he is on the Atlanta Falcons, I think that's going to just give him some trouble there. And with Julio being gone, I think he's going to see a lot of those number 1 corners, probably some double teams. Though I do see Kyle Pitts helping him out there, taking away some of the defensive attraction. But
absolutely,
he definitely has a lot of potential this season. So Ridley definitely has a lot of potential this season. But drafting, I'd almost take D Hop and DK before him.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love DK, but one, they hired this new offensive coordinator because they wanted to get back to their roots and run the ball more, which is Pete Carroll's style of offense that he likes to run. 2, the offense, even when it's passing, is going to be a majority of the time a horizontal passing scheme, meaning, or just an offensive scheme in general, meaning that they're going to be going side to side a lot, meaning there's going to be a lot of outs, a lot of ins, a lot of digs, a lot of drags, and not so many posts or goes or fades or corners or things like that, which is really where DK can excel at because he gets that separation just by his pure speed. I don't think he's going to regress at all, but I think he's going to stay right around where he was last year.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. I mean, he had a couple of tough matchups. I think it was Arizona and the Rams that covered him pretty well last season.
Yeah.
But I'd still, personally, I would pick DK over Ridley.
Interesting.
All right, moving on to the back half of your list.
7, 8, 9, 10.
7, 8, 9, 10. So after Ridley, I had Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, and Terry McLaurin.
Interesting. You got McLaurin in your top 10.
I do.
Okay. I've got, after Hopkins at 5, I've got Jefferson at 6, Metcalf at 7, Allen at 8, Robinson the second at 9, and A.J. Brown at, wait. Who the hell is Allen?
Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
you confused me there because it's his full name.
Yeah, I know. And then I got Allen, and then right after it, I've got Robinson. I was like, wait, did I mess up here? Okay, yes. Keenan Allen at 8, Allen Robinson at 9, and A.J. Brown at 10.
Okay.
But in all reality, I mean, I would say after, in my opinion, after Adams, Hill, Ridley, Diggs, and Hopkins, you can take any of those guys in any order, and you are going to be relatively the same no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's like a big middle core of wide receivers that are just solid.
Extremely solid. But they're also guys that you're going to have to potentially give up a solid running back to get. And with how thin running back goes, is it worth it, especially with how deep wide receivers are this year?
Yeah, I definitely target my running backs before I get into some of these guys.
Same. Okay. On to tight end. I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of discussion with this one. Our answers might be slightly different, but in reality, after the top 3 tight ends, you're gonna be A-okay no matter what. Or excuse me, you're not gonna be A-okay no matter what, and you're gonna have to stream a tight end every week.
That being said, who do you got as your top 5?
Top 5, I've got Kelsey, obviously, Waller, Kittle, Andrews, Hawkinson.
All right. It's pretty similar. I have Kelsey, Waller, my sleeper pick, my big bet this year, Kyle
And I
Pitts at the
think it's
3,
extremely stupid.
George Kittle, and then Mark Andrews.
I think I blocked over you. Who is it? Who was your third?
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, that's stupid.
We'll see. I think. I was a tight end university, and
Okay, well, considering Kittle is going at usually around mid-third round, you would really take Kyle Pitts before Kittle.
I would take that gamble. That's my one gamble.
Say it gets you at say you have the 3-3. There's Waller just went off the board. You've got a good running back and a good receiver, or however you want to format your team. In what instance would you feel okay taking? Yeah, let me rephrase it like that. In what instance would you feel okay taking Kyle Pitts at the 3-3?
So Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, and Mark Andrews, I would almost put those in any order. I don't think that's super strict. At that point, it's almost personal preference of who you think would be better.
Why don't you think George Kittle's going to have another big year?
I don't think he's not going to have a big year. I just think Kyle Pitts is also going to have a great year.
After you were just dissing Calvin Ridley about being a part of the Falcons offense?
I did, but I did say that Pitts would help him out in there. So I think both Pitts and Ridley are going to get a lot of targets, though Ridley's going to draw a lot of attraction to him.
Traditionally, rookie tight ends don't always have the best time getting into the NFL. Sometimes it takes a couple years. I mean, Travis Kelce, when did Travis Kelce really start popping off?
Probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly. He's 32.
Yeah, he's an old fella.
So but how long has he been in the NFL?
A decent amount of time.
He's been in the NFL since 2013. He didn't get over 1,000 receiving yards until 2016.
Yeah, sure seemed to pick up when Mr. Patty Mahomes came into office.
Oh, absolutely. But he was also more mature. He knew the position better. He knew how to attack NFL linebackers and safeties better. He knew which way to turn his body. He learns all these things that don't matter so much when you're playing in college. In the NFL, these extremely technical, fine-tuned things are the difference between being a superstar like Travis Kelce and just a regular tight end like a Tyler Higbee or Gerald Everett or Mike Gesicki or whoever's not Kyle Pitts, or excuse me, whoever's not Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, or George Kittle, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, Kyle Pitts is my gamble pick this year. And I just see a lot of upside with him because if you're Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley's covered, who are you throwing it to?
What would your roster setup have to be for you to take Kyle Pitts at 3-3?
What do you mean, like third round, third pick? When you say 3-3?
Yep.
At that point in the draft, I probably would try and wait off on the tight end. If I don't get Kelce or Waller, I'm not going to pick a tight end for probably the 4th round.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. But in the 4th round, would you really like taking that risk on a tight end that you've never seen in the NFL?
In the 4th round, I'd almost see Pitt still being available and not Kittle.
Oh no, I don't think Kittle would be. But do you think Pitts over Mark Andrews?
I do. I'm still going with that pick.
So 4th round comes, you don't have a tight end. Would you take Kyle Pitts?
Who's on the board?
Kyle Pitts or Mark Andrews are the only tight ends left.
I think it's just a personal choice at that point.
You've got Tyler Lockett, Robert Woods, Mike Davis, Darrell Robinson.
I think with that pick, you really can't go wrong with Pitts, Kittle, or Mark Andrews.
Yes, I would go with Kittle or Andrews. I would not take Pitts unless he fell to me in like the 6th round.
All right. Well, I will be taking Pitts off your hands.
By all means, take him. I'll name off my last 5 tight ends. So after Hawkinson, I've got Pitts, Higbee, Gesicki, Tonyan, and Fant.
Okay. Finishing off my list, I had Hawkinson, Thomas, Fant, and Tonyan.
Okay. So pretty similar list overall. I mean, like I said, after Kelsey or Waller, there's like a tiny tier that you can get that you're going to have to pay a decent amount for a tight end who's going to give you some off weeks. That's just the reality of it. The tight end is not a dominant position by any means unless your name is Travis Kelsey or Darren Waller.
Exactly.
So you can either pay a little bit more and take like a Mark Andrews or a George Kittle, or you can pay a lot less and get like a Tyler Higbee, who I think is going to be a really good option in Matthew Stafford's offense.
Yeah, I do like that pick.
I do too. And I think Gesicki has had a really good mini camp, and I think Tua, there was an article saying that Tua has really started to find the tight end when things get dangerous in the pocket or when he gets under pressure. So I think Gesicki could also be a very good 6th, 7th, 8th round pick that could just fall into your lap and be a very good value by the end of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you could take, I don't know if I'd start at Hawkinson, Thomas, Fant, Tonyan, Gesicki, Higbee. Just throw them all in a pool and you can just take any of them at that point.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we're not going to do kickers or defenses just because in all reality, the top 10 are going to be the top 10. You can kind of throw them up. You're not going to spend more than like almost a second to last or very last overall draft pick on one.
Exactly. I've been totally fine picking defense and then kicker as my final 2 picks.
Exactly. I mean, there's just too many good players to throw away and take a position that is easily replaceable.
The flex.
Flexes, yes. All right. So the people that we're talking about as our flexes are people that you're trying to target as like your running back 3 or your wide receiver 3. And in some cases, like my first one is David Montgomery, but he's only going to be able to be your flex or your RB3 if you start off going running back, and then you go running back again. So if your first 3 picks are running backs, that is the only way that he's able to get in there. So take that one with a little grain of salt when I say Montgomery as my first. Yes, okay. So I've got David Montgomery at 1, Mike Davis at 2, Travis Etienne at 3, Kareem Hunt at 4, Deebo Samuel at 5, Jamar Chase at 6, Antonio Brown at 7, Odell Beckham Jr. at 8, Curtis Samuel at 9, and I am missing one, so I'm just going to steal one off your list, and I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I like that one. And that's really in no particular order. I mean, I would take all of them as a RB3 or a wide receiver 3. It just really depends where I'm at, what quarterbacks are available, what tight ends I end up taking. I mean, they all just kind of fall in different positions in the draft that can fit your team in a good way depending on how you decide to set your team up.
Yeah, and like you, mine aren't in any particular order. Starting off my list, I have James Robinson. That's my boy. He's going to have a big season. Just watch. Followed by Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Javonte Williams, Tyler Boyd, Deebo Samuel, Kareem Hunt, Mike Davis, Mike Williams, and Kenny Golladay.
Okay. I mean, I really don't have anything to complain about that.
And likewise, I think both are very solid lists, and should definitely keep an eye out for all of them if they're available.
Definitely. Our second to last segment today, we're going to just give you after week 1 of the preseason, our power rankings of the teams. Not their preseason teams, but just their teams overall and where we think they stand in being competitive compared to other teams. So give me your top 5, kid.
Top 5 in the one spot, I have Tampa Bay, reigning Super Bowl champs.
I agree.
Followed by Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay,
okay. and then the Rams. I've got Kansas City and Buffalo inversed.
Okay.
And then I also have Green Bay at 4. You've got the Rams at 5?
I do.
I've got the Rams at 6, and I've got Baltimore at 5.
Okay, so that's flip-flop for us because I have Baltimore at 6.
Yeah, okay. Who do you have at 7?
At 7, I have Cleveland Browns. And then 8, I have Seattle. 9, Tennessee. And 10, Washington.
All right. 6, like I said, I have the Rams. 7, I've got Seattle. 8, Tennessee. 9, Cleveland. 10, Pittsburgh. So just a quick brief rundown of my top 10 rankings. 1, Tampa Bay. 2, Kansas City. 3, Buffalo. 4, Green Bay. 5, Baltimore. 6, Los Angeles. 7, Seattle. 8, Tennessee. 9, Cleveland. And 10, Pittsburgh.
Alrighty.
And a quick rundown of Cade's. He's got 1, Tampa Bay. 2, Buffalo. 3, Kansas City. 4, Green Bay. 5, Los Angeles Rams. 6, Baltimore. 7, Cleveland. 8, Seattle. 9, Tennessee. And 10, the Washington football team.
Go team.
Who are your next 10?
Next 10, I got San Francisco at 11, followed by Arizona, Dallas, LA Chargers, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, New England, New Orleans, Chicago, Miami.
All right. Not bad. I've got San Francisco, the Chargers, Arizona, Miami, New Orleans, Washington football team, Dallas, Minnesota, New England, and Chicago, rounding it up to 20.
Yeah, in my little list, I'd say starting at 14 with the Chargers going down to, let's say, probably 20. I think those could be in any particular order.
And I mean, like I said, these are preseason polls. We still have not seen these teams out there gelling together again yet. We've only seen their preseason forms. So we still don't know entirely what to expect. I mean, shoot, for all we know, Detroit's going to be the number 1 team this year.
Exactly.
No, right, I kid. We only deal with realistic possibilities. But the realistic possibility is that pretty much anybody aside from, I would say, the bottom 10 or 12 really do have a shot at making the playoffs and potentially making a run this year.
Yeah. With that being said, who do you have finishing off your list?
All right. At 21, I've got Las Vegas, followed by New York Giants, Indianapolis, Carolina, Denver, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Philadelphia, the New York Jets, Jacksonville, Houston, and Detroit.
All right. Well, mine starts out very similar with Las Vegas, the Giants, Denver, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Philadelphia, Carolina, Jacksonville, Detroit, New York Jets, Houston, and Atlanta.
Alrighty. There you have it, guys. We will have those power rankings posted on each of our stories, not on each of our stories. We'll have those posted on the Sports Booth Instagram page. So make sure you follow that. Make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube video. Just a couple more things I want to go over with you guys real quick. For our first 100 subscribers, you will automatically be entered to win a graded 10 Peyton Manning card, a 2000 Peyton Manning 10 graded by Beckett Grading Company. It is a beautiful card. I have it right here in my possession. So all you have to do to potentially win that is click subscribe, and you're automatically entered. There's no restrictions, no rules. Make as many fake accounts as you want. Subscribe. I don't care what you do. Just do that. Win a card that's valued at $50. It's a sick card. I wish I could keep it, but I would like one of you guys to have it a little bit more. So make sure you do that. Lastly, our last segment of the day, take it to the booth. Cade, what do you have for us?
All right, here in the booth, we have a quote from Chicago Bears quarterback Andy Dalton saying, quote, "Justin Fields is going to have a great career, but right now it's my time," end quote. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my God, dude. Oh, has Andy Dalton not watched his film the past 10 years of his career?
I have no idea. That quote definitely got me laughing.
He's walking into this thing acting like he's like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, like just about to take over the team and make it theirs. Like, dude, you're Andy Dalton. You're not that guy. You're not that guy, bro. You're not.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that video?
Wait, which one?
The Vine that's like, "You're not that guy, pal. Okay, you're not that guy."
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, you're not that guy. Alrighty. Well, anything else to add, kid?
No, just thanks for tuning in to our first episode. Plenty of episodes coming soon. Just remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts. Let us know your power rankings, who your top 10 positional players are in the flex down below, and be sure to respond to as many comments as we can.
Absolutely. And also make sure you guys tune in to our Friday episode. It's a short one, but we just give you a little 5-minute episode giving you our picks of the week so you can go and bet a little bit and win a little bit of money. And we've got a lock, an upset, and a 50-50 shot. So we're going to pick all of those for you guys. You guys can take them down to MGM Betting, Oregon Sports Betting, wherever you do your betting. You can take those bets down there, and I promise you, I'm putting in the same bets in my betting with my bookie. So you guys can have faith that I don't just throw my money away, and in fact, I actually have quite a good winning record, and I am up significantly all time. So you guys are in good hands with us when you listen to our bets. So make sure you tune in to those. They're 3 free picks. If you want more, comment below and we can give you guys more. We love betting. We love to see you guys bet, and we love to see you guys take our advice on betting, because in the end, we're all about helping each other out, especially when it comes to winning money. And after further review, the booth says it's good. You guys have a good one. And sports betting, wherever you do your betting, you can take those bets down there, and I promise you, I'm putting in the same bets in my betting with my bookie. So you guys can have faith that I don't just throw my money away, and in fact, I actually have quite a good winning record, and I am up significantly all time. So you guys are in good hands with us when you listen to our bets. So make sure you tune in to those. They're 3 free picks. If you want more, comment below and we can give you guys more. We love betting. We love to see you guys bet, and we love to see you guys take our advice on betting, because in the end, we're all about helping each other out, especially when it comes to winning money. And after further review, the booth says it's good. You guys have a good one.